Welcome to Dev Mindset, where we explore the essentials of product development, project leadership, and continuous learning. Tune in to tap into the mindset that fuels innovation in tech.
Ever find yourself in a project where nobody seems to know who's doing what?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like everyone's showing up to a dance rehearsal, but nobody knows the steps.
Right.
That's what we're tackling in this deep dive. The RACI Matrix. It's your project's secret weapon for making sure everyone's in sync.
Like a choreographer for your projects.
Exactly.
Love that.
One quote from our research really hit home for me. In almost 100% of my project rescue efforts, and this is a direct quote, I have found that there is no shared understanding of participant roles and responsibilities.
It's so true, though.
Isn't that wild?
It's so common.
It's so common.
And it's funny because it seems so obvious.
It does.
But it's like you get caught up in the project.
Right. You just want to get going.
And nobody stops to actually define who's doing what.
So that's where RACI swoops in to save the day, right?
Exactly. RACI is like, okay, let's hit pause for a second.
Yeah.
Before we even start building.
We're going to line.
Let's make sure we know exactly who's responsible for what.
So we're not tripping over each other.
Yeah, no stepping on toes.
No toes getting stepped on. So for those who might be new to this whole RACI thing, what does it actually stand for?
So RACI, it stands for responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. And it's basically a way to map out every single task in your project.
I love how it's every single task.
Yeah, every single one.
Nothing gets left behind.
And then you say, okay, for this specific task, who is the responsible party?
Who's that go-to person?
Right, who's actually doing the work?
Yeah.
Then we have accountable.
This is the big boss, right?
Yes, exactly. Who's ultimately answerable if things go south?
If the wheels fall off, who are we looking at?
Exactly. And then you've got consultants.
These are the folks you want to get feedback from.
Exactly. The subject matter experts, the people who have been there, done that.
They've got the wisdom.
They've got the insights. Exactly.
But they're not necessarily doing the task.
Exact.
And then informed. This is like the FYI crew.
Keep them in the loop.
They need to know what's going on.
Just so they're aware.
Right. They might not have direct input, but they need to stay updated.
Exactly. Keep everyone in the loop. Avoid those surprise fire drills later on.
Love it.
Yeah.
So we've got responsible, accountable, consulted, informed. It seems like having this clarity from the get-go can really set a project up for success.
100%. It's all about setting those expectations up front.
Right. So no one's left wondering, what am I supposed to be doing?
Exactly. It eliminates so much of that back and forth, that confusion that often derails projects.
And probably saves a lot of headaches in the long run.
Oh, tons of headaches. And you know what else is interesting?
What's that?
This isn't just for massive corporate projects.
Really? You can use RACI for anything.
Anything. Planning a wedding.
Oh, yeah, that's a project for sure.
Organizing a family vacation. Even just like a weekend DIY project around the house.
So like if we're finally tackling that kitchen renovation we've been talking about.
Exactly. We can use RACI to make sure it doesn't turn into a disaster zone.
Okay, I'm sold. But how do we go from this theoretical concept of RACI to actually using it? What are the steps involved in building one of these magical matrices?
Well, let's break it down step by step.
I'm ready. Hit me with it. I'm ready to build this thing. Where do we start?
All right, step one, let's grab a whiteboard. Or maybe just open up a spreadsheet, whatever works for you.
Okay, digital whiteboard it is.
And we're going to start by listing out every single task involved in our project.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Okay, so for our kitchen renovation, we'd be talking like demolition, ordering those appliances,
Yes.
installing the flooring, painting the walls.
Don't forget the backsplash.
Oh, right, the backsplash, and then all those little things like,
Finding a place to store all your stuff while the kitchen's unusable.
oh my gosh, yes. Scheduling the inspections?
Exactly. Even things like packing up those cabinets.
It feels like a never-ending list.
It can be. But that's the point, right? We want to capture everything.
So nothing dies through the cracks.
Exactly. Okay, so we've got this massive list of tasks. What's next? We need to identify all the stakeholders.
All right, so who are the key players in this kitchen renovation saga?
Let's see, we've got you and your partner,
Obviously.
the contractor, any subcontractors they're bringing in.
The electrician, the plumber.
Exactly. The appliance delivery people.
The folks at the tile store?
You got it.
Yeah.
Anyone who's even remotely involved in making this project happen.
Okay, so we're talking a pretty big crew here.
It can be, depending on the project.
But we want them all represented in this RACI matrix. Right?
Absolutely. Because now we're going to start assigning those roles.
The R, the A, the C, the I.
Exactly. Let's take that ordering appliances task, for example.
Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
Who would you say is responsible for actually placing the order, making sure those dishwashers and ovens are on their way?
Well, in our household, I think my partner volunteered to handle that.
Perfect. So on our matrix, under ordering appliances, next to your partner's name, we're putting an R for responsible.
Okay, they're the point person for that task.
Exactly. But even though they're handling the ordering, ultimately, who's accountable for making sure the right appliances are ordered?
Oh, that's on me, right? I mean, it's my kitchen.
You got it. So next to your name, we're putting an A for accountable.
So there's that shared responsibility, but ultimately the buck stops with me.
Exactly. Only one A per task, just to keep things crystal clear.
Okay, so we've got responsible and accountable covered. What about consulted?
Good point. Who do we need to loop in for their expertise on this particular task?
Well, we definitely need to check in with our contractor on this one.
To make sure everything fits.
Exactly. We don't want to end up with a fridge that's too big for the space.
Disaster.
So the contractor gets a C next to their name for consulted on the appliance order.
You've got it. See how this is working? We're mapping out what, not just who's doing what, but also who needs to be in the loop for each step.
I'm starting to see the magic of this RACI matrix. So we've got responsible, accountable, consulted. Who else needs to be in the loop on this appliance order? What about informed?
Yeah, who needs the heads up on this? I'm thinking maybe our designer.
Oh, good point. So they can make sure everything still jives with their grand vision.
Exactly. We don't want any last-minute surprises when the cabinets arrive and clash with the fridge.
Oh, can you imagine? Talk about a design disaster. So the designer gets an I for informed on the appliance order.
Perfect. And you see, by doing this for every single task on our list.
It's like we're creating this master playbook for the whole kitchen renovation.
Exactly. No more, oh, I thought you were handling that, or I had no idea that was happening.
Right. No more finger pointing or dropped balls.
And that's the beauty of RACI. It eliminates so much of that ambiguity that can lead to conflicts and delays.
So we've built this amazing RACI matrix, but how do we make sure it actually works in the real world?
Great question. It's not enough to just create it right. We've got to use it.
So what are the golden rules for making RACI work its magic?
First things first, every single task, and I mean every single one, needs a designated responsible party.
No task left behind.
Exactly. If nobody owns it, it's probably not going to get done.
Sad but true.
Rule number 2, only one accountable person per task.
Right. Too many cooks in the kitchen and all that.
Exactly. We need that one-point person who's ultimately responsible for the outcome.
So everyone knows who to go to if there's a question or if something needs to be adjusted?
Precisely. And lastly, make sure every single stakeholder has at least one role on the project, even if it's just being informed.
So everyone feels like they're part of the team.
Exactly. It's about creating that shared sense of ownership.
And hopefully fewer arguments along the way.
Oh, definitely. And you know, the beauty of the RACI matrix is that it's not set in stone.
What do you mean?
Well, projects change, things come up, and sometimes we need to adjust our approach.
So we're not afraid to tweak the RACI matrix as we go.
Exactly. It's a living document meant to be adapted and refined throughout the project lifecycle.
Okay, that makes me feel better. So it's not about sticking rigidly to a plan, but rather using the RACI matrix as a tool to guide us and keep everyone on the same page.
You got it. It's like having a roadmap for your project, but you're allowed to take a few detours along the way if needed.
I like that analogy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the RACI matrix, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
The RACI matrix, it's not about adding more work to your plate. It's about making your work easier.
It's about getting organized, setting clear expectations, and avoiding those all too familiar project fire drills.
Exactly. And when you have that clarity, projects just run smoother, teams are happier, and you're able to focus on the work that really matters.
Music to any project manager's ears. Well, on that note, a big thank you to our expert for breaking down the ins and outs of the RACI matrix.
My pleasure.
And to our listeners, we hope you found this deep dive valuable. Remember, whether you're renovating your kitchen, planning a wedding, or tackling a complex work project, the RACI matrix is your secret weapon for staying organized and ensuring everyone's on the same page. Until next time, happy collaborating.
Keep the momentum going. Subscribe to Dev Mindset, and we'll see you next time.